Hello, everyone, and welcome to Amplify Her Voice, a fundraising event for Engender Health. My name is Karen Coe. I'm a proud member of Engender Health's board, and I'm your MC for this event. And I'm actually coming to you live from Hong Kong, where it's 8 o'clock in the morning. So to all of us, anyone on this side of the world, good morning. We're really excited that you've joined us for this event. It's going to be a great one, and we're going to take you all over the world. You're going to hear from some of our program staff in India, Malawi, Washington, D.C., and also from our very special guest, Emmy and Golden Globe nominated actress Rose Byrne, who's based in Australia. I think it really reflects the global nature of EngenderHealth's work to promote sexual and reproductive health and rights. Rose is a feminist and a strong champion for reproductive rights, and we're thrilled to have her participation a little later on. Now, why am I here? Well, just 7 years ago, honestly, I knew nothing about sexual and reproductive health and rights. I went to an event here in Hong Kong, which included an invitation to visit EngenderHealth's operations in Ethiopia. So in January 2014, I went on that trip, and what I saw really just blew me away. The impact that EngenderHealth has on girls, women, their families, and their whole communities really is incredible. I'm a TV journalist by background, so I took my video camera, I made a video about that trip and shared it with EngenderHealth. I think it's still on the YouTube channel. And then after I joined the board, I also visited their programs in the Philippines and India. And I can tell you that having seen firsthand how creative, how innovative EngenderHealth is in developing and delivering programs is really inspiring. So here I am with you today, encouraging you to help us. Let's go through a few housekeeping items. As I mentioned, we are here to raise money for the work that EngenderHealth is doing. So there'll be a couple of specific pledge sessions throughout the next 50 minutes or so, but you can contribute anytime by clicking the donate button on your screen. And also, if you're in the US and you're on a smartphone, you can text Give for Choice to 41444. That's text Give for Choice to 41444. We also have a match opportunity. So that means that if we raise $10,000, a generous board member will match it dollar for dollar, which means we raise 10,000, we actually raise 20,000. And if you give any amount during the hour, you'll be entered into a draw to win one of 5 Bluetooth speakers to further amplify your favorite sounds. Also, as a special treat, anyone who gives over $500 will be able to attend our after party with yet another celebrity guest. Yes, actor and author Ethan Hawke will join us immediately after tonight's event. So if you give over $500, you'll get an email with a Zoom link to join me for that conversation with Ethan. So please consider doing that. You're going to hear some amazing stories, and I really hope they'll inspire and move you to support EngenderHealth. But now it's my pleasure to welcome Tracy Baird, EngenderHealth CEO, to talk a bit more about what we do. Hi, Tracy, and welcome to the event.
Area, so you'll see it getting darker behind me over the course of the evening. And thank you for hosting and being here, and thanks everybody for joining us as we amplify the voices of women, girls, and communities who want and need universal access to sexual and reproductive health care and full recognition of their rights. At EngenderHealth, we take a holistic view of health, rights, and equality. We recognize that individuals need access to services, that communities often hold their own solutions to their local challenges, and that institutions like the healthcare system or the educational system need to be strengthened, and also that laws and policies can be improved in ways that promote health and rights. We work in the areas of sexual and reproductive health, in maternal health, and we work to address the issue of gender-based violence. And all of our work, of course, is designed toward our ultimate goal of gender equality. Funding for our work comes from government donors, including USAID and the British, Dutch, and Swedish governments, as well as private foundations, and really importantly, individuals. Support from individuals and family trusts and foundations provide some of our most precious resources because we can deploy those resources to address our most critical needs. So one example of our work that I'm really super proud of because of its remarkable impact on women and girls, on communities, and on institutions is the work that we've done on women's empowerment in Malawi. Women who face gender-based violence often need support to become economically independent so they can avoid or leave violent situations. We want them to be able to take control of their health and control of their lives. So we have a brief video that we're excited to show. It's of one woman's story in Malawi, and I hope you'll find it as inspiring as I do.
Nkhaza zonde nachididamo zambirimbiri inakwatiwa nalubanja koma munanga amanondesera nkhaza zambiri 49 mangokhala palibe chimene marani ni mapanga chiliyonse chimene kapempha nthawi poyambirira amandipasa kenaka naona kuti asintha maganizo osamandipasa faya nkhaza zimene zinapeza kuti pakana tasiyane wanakakwatira wina mkazi ndiye nangokhala ndiye nabwera kukhomba amayanga ndiye pakhomba amayanga pajani makhala koma support mandivutabe fata chibale yanga samanthandiza kwenikweni makhala movutikira momwemu nditi mayi anga asasagera ntchito amangokhala ndeti makhala movutikira momwe china chonse chimativuta komano nditava program ya EngenderHealth's ndamva zoti ndatengedwa ndabwera kunoko panopo pamene ndabwera kunoko ndinosangalala fati ndikapita nyumbako singakhala ndivuta nalonse fati ndikakhala wozidalira pachuma ndikatha samala ana anga ndikatha samala mapo anga komanso ndikathandiza azizanga amene akusowa zolira kuti tizikathandizana lonse tikakhala anthu wozidalira pachuma. Project imeneyi ndiyothandiza makamaka kwa ife azimayi chifukwa azimayi ife tikamangokhala azimuna athamatipanga nkhaza fata mangoti ndife magogi paongotani ongolandira komano mene unabwera project iyi atithandiza azimayi tinafese tizikhala zolira zizoti azimuna athu azikatipanga nkhaza fata azikaona tinafese tikupeza zathu ndrama iwonso akupeza nditi mabudget apakhomo tizikathandizana ndese azikaona zovuta ayi project imeneyi itithandiza chifukwa yoti yatiphunzitsa ntchito zamanja ilo ndi luso limene palibenso munthu kuti angatibere ayi likhala lathu tizikapanga kuti mwina tsiku limene kwacha kuti ndibe china chilichonse ndikangokhala pa machini chonchi wina abweresa chovala ndisokera ndipeza ndrama ndeti zofunika za tsiku limene tatani ndagula litsapo ayi ndigula salo yanga ndisoka kaka dress imene kasokedera akaka ndimuza munthu kuti andigule mwina andipasa ndrama 4000 moyo wanga kusiyana kwambiri chifukwa limene ali kumudziwa kwati simadziwa china chilichonse nemangokhala ate kukacha basi mangoti ndikalime kandi kapa nganyu zinthu zoti zovuta ndithu zija mwina ganyu ikasodeti ni makhala ndithu movutika mamwanga maomaliza kwa EngenderHealth ine ndikuthokoza chifukwa kuti andichosa umbulu umene nali nawo ndikunyika pa munthu wozindikira ndithu kundichosa ndithu umphawi chifukwa pamene pandichosa umphawi fuati ngapita nyumba yako inesi kakhalanso umphawi sikakhalanso wovutika chifukwa china chonse ndizachitani ndizachipeza pamene pandikuthokoza ndipo ndipemphaso Engender kuti moyo umene wasasire pa ife tokhapitirire ndithu atipangireso azathu amene anasale kumudzi amene mwayi amene unapitirira nawo sazathu apase ndithu mpata kuti nawo sazaphunzireso ngati limene ndeti zatulukula tikatere dziko lathu la Malawi madera athu ndi azibale athu ambiri zakhala ndithu otuluka ndithu ndeti dziko lathu likhala losogola sitisalira ayi imene tikusalira panopo.
What a powerful example of how just a little bit of support can really transform a woman's life. And that women's empowerment program doesn't just change their circumstances, but you can really see how much pride and positivity they radiate with those fashions that they created. Well, Tracy talked just now about EngenderHealth's holistic approach to our work. That is the result. And that's what inspires our next guest, Mary Agnew in Montana, to support EngenderHealth.
Hi, my name is Mary Agnew. My husband Al and I have been proud supporters of EngenderHealth since 1997. We remain committed to supporting EngenderHealth because we believe so deeply in their stated mission of providing reproductive health care and rights to women and girls who would not otherwise have access to contraceptives and reproductive health care that so many of us take for granted. And you know, we're really impressed with EngenderHealth's holistic approach in their way of bringing their programs and operating at the individual, the community, and the systemic level so that the changes that they are promoting remain viable in the years to come. And we feel really good knowing that our financial contributions truly do impact the lives of those who take part in EngenderHealth's programs, because ultimately making their lives better makes all of our lives better. And we would ask you to help us, help amplify this vital work that EngenderHealth undertakes by financially contributing to them as well. Your support truly does matter. Thank you.
And thank you, Mary and Al, for your generosity to EngenderHealth over the years. Well, that leads us very nicely into our first pledge segment. And I'm not going to do this on my own. I'm going to have help from my friends. It's my pleasure to introduce one of my fellow board members, Juan Carlos Negret. Juan Carlos, welcome to the event. How are you?
Well, I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Okay, Juan Carlos, where are you joining us from?
I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Great.
There's
now, Juan
sunlight
Carlos,
here,
you joined the board. That's great. You joined the board just a couple of years ago. Tell us more about why you were so interested in what EngenderHealth does.
So, Karen, I got to know EngenderHealth some 30 years ago in my native Colombia. I knew about the work they were doing there. I always admired the institution. They were advancing family planning all over the world. They continue doing that. They continue fighting for women's rights, and from family planning access to help victims of gender violence. So when I had the chance to join, I got both thrilled and honored. I didn't even win.
Now, we're here right now. This is the live pledge segment. What sort of things do you have to say to donors and potential donors?
So first of all, there's no small contribution. Every contribution has long legs, helps a great deal. Every woman that we have seen, the women we have seen today, have a piece of the support of everyone that has helped EngenderHealth throughout the years. So that is something that is important for us to have. We can change, we can transform lives that have a name. So it's not something up there ethereal. It's real lives that we're helping.
Yeah, exactly. So as Juan Carlos says, every dollar helps. As you know, we can make a dollar go a long way. You've seen from the work we've done in Malawi, and I've seen it in the places that I visited as well. So we really want you to be generous tonight because you can really see what your gifts go to and how they do change lives. So let's remind our audience of how they can donate. So you've got a couple of different methods. You can click the donate button on your screen, or if you're in the US and you're on a smartphone, you can text Give for Choice to 41444, Give for Choice to 41444. And don't forget that if we raise $10,000 during this event, another generous board member will contribute another $10,000. So there's very many ways for you to contribute tonight. Juan Carlos, before we wrap up this pledge session, what sort of things would you like to tell our audience and our participants?
Well, there's something that is really transformational. There's nothing more prophetic than family planning. Has created a new world for many women around the globe, my daughter included. I mean, she has been able to plan her life, to study in ways that we take things for granted, as we like to say. So that is EngenderHealth, better said, has been part of that transformation. So what we enjoy today is something that we can also spread out around the world. It sounds distant. No, it's for every woman, every village, India, Colombia, Africa, anywhere in Africa, Tanzania. So it's in different places, different lives. You can touch many lives, many souls, better said, with a small contribution. I hope that we just embrace that, we go for it, and we gives with our wallets and our hearts. Why not?
Exactly. That's a great message, Juan Carlos. And we definitely feel how everyone's lives are touched by their contributions and what Engender Health can do with those funds. So Juan Carlos, thank you so much for your help. I hope you enjoy the rest of the event as you're going to be able to watch the rest of it. And thank you everyone who's contributing for your gifts. We really, really appreciate it. It just goes so far in making a difference to so many lives. Speaking of making a difference, just earlier this week, I had a wonderful conversation with one of our program staff in India, Priyanka Kochar, and she told me all about a program that we ran there called Girl Champions. Let's take a look at that. Really thrilled to be joined by one of our staff members from India. Priyanka is here. Thank you so much for joining us for the event. And before we start off with what the program is, let's learn more about you. So can you introduce yourself and tell us what you do with Engender Health?
Yeah, thanks, Karen. Yes, as you said, I am from India, and I have been with Engender Health for about 5 years now, and have been backstopping all the India country programs. But I look largely at the India adolescent and youth portfolio for about 2 years now. So that's what I do basically at the India office.
Now, the particular program that we're going to learn about is called Girl Champions. Can you tell us more about that and how that works?
Yeah, this project was done in partnership with UNICEF. It was basically a pilot project, and we have been working in the Sitamarhi district of Bihar, which is a most backward state in India, for about 3.5 years now. And what we were seeing is that there was a lot of gender differentials in infant mortality rate between the newborn boys versus newborn girls. So we have had trained peer educators who've been working with us, young girls, and we thought it's a great opportunity to actually try and see if we can try to address the gender differentials by engaging young people. So it was a 2-month project, and we really have very interesting learnings from that project.
How did you recruit these young girls, and what did you have to train them in order for them to fulfill this role?
Yeah, very interesting question, Karen. So basically these adolescent girl champions aged 15 to 19, they have been with us under another Tarunay project for about 3 years now. We have been investing a lot under that project, in which we recruited them. So basically selected them. I would not use the word recruitment here. And then a lot of our energy went into training them. They have already been, trained on working with other adolescents in their community to talk on issues around SRH, and even nutrition, adolescent nutrition, substance abuse, all those issues. So they have been with us. But they had never had training on newborn care, which was something very new for them, and they were really very interested. And so that's how we brought them on board.
And what sort of results did you have? I mean, how successful was the program?
So Kiran, as I told you, that it was like a very short 2 months pilot, and the reason that it was started because we were seeing these gender differentials in IMR, but this rapid implementation, it just demonstrated to us how we can leverage existing resources and investments that are being already done in adolescent health to benefit and complement the other health areas, basically. So, with this initiative, it just helped us learn how these young adolescent girls can be powerful agents of change, for addressing basically any health concerns in their own community. So I think that was the key lesson that we have, and we really look forward to, upscale and take this project in different states, or I would say at least do it in the whole of Bihar.
And of course, it must have been challenging doing this during COVID.
Yes, it was. And one of the reasons why we took this initiative was because due to COVID, the frontline health workers, which is ASHAs in India, they are supposed to be visiting the households with newborn child, especially in the first week of the when the child is born. But due to this huge, there has been like a huge impact on the frontline health workers because they are the front runners, with reaching people with information on COVID or reaching people on, talking about vaccine hesitancy and all those things. So we were seeing that, they really did not have that kind of time to reach every household. And then they were not even able to, talk to the community that much. So this was more of an opportunity. And we thought, why not just orient, these young girls who are like so energetic, so full of enthusiasm on just key 5-6 basic newborn care messages. Like it's no no hard technical stuff, just 5-6 basic messages to wash your hands properly, or just to teach the mother how to handle a newborn care. And what we saw was what resonated very well with all of these girls, and we actually had a webinar where we were able to invite some of them, was that they were so excited to learn these things because they thought it was so useful for them also. Like now, I happen to remember very young girl talking to me where she said that, I have been teaching, this is a new learning for me. And I told about this to my sister-in-law who's been married in that same community, and about 5-6 another, young women. And she said, tomorrow I'm going to get married and then I'm going to take this information everywhere. So this is something that we didn't tell them, because we really wanted to focus on, them as change agents, and really not say that, because every girl's dream is not to be married, right? So we were very, very cautious about that. But then they were really reflecting on those things and they could see the benefit of it.
Well, it sounds like a wonderful outcome. Now, of course, this is a donor event. What difference can donor support make?
So I think what we are increasingly seeing is, and I think that's EngenderHealth's priority as well, that there's this huge chunk of adolescent population or young people who can be actually change agents in their own community. And what we have increasingly seen is that we have been working at the systems level, but when it comes to working at the community, there are huge challenges for the frontline health workers. So if the donors can come forward and they invest in approaches, in mechanisms that engage these young people to strengthen their own capacities as leaders, and then encourage ownership of their own communities, and basically take a positive life cycle approach to this whole health issues that actually are in their community. I mean, who would know their community better than them? So it's about that. So and I think there has been increasing evidence, that if you are engaging in, you're doing a meaningful participation of youth in programs, it's going to have like longer benefits. So.
Absolutely. Well, Priyanka, thank you so much for sharing the story, telling us about the program, and thank you for all the work that you do. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you, Corinne, and pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Priyanka, thank you so much for sharing about the program and for all the work you do. And I know we actually have a video that was filmed in the field, which shows us exactly what the program does. So let's take a look. Really thrilled to be joined by one of our staff members from India.
Come in many forms. Some scale new heights, some set a new pace. And there are some who set new benchmarks, not just for themselves, but also for the world that they grew up in. Champions who are racing and rising to take on a great challenge, the challenge of saving the lives of newborn girls in rural India. This is Mamta Kumari. There is a new spring in her stride. She is one of the adolescent girl champions who are making a difference in a path-breaking initiative undertaken by EngenderHealth with the support of UNICEF to save newborn girl lives.
हमारे समाज में हो रहे लड़कियों लड़कों में भेदभाव बंद करना ये हमारा लक्ष्य है। माँ तथा शिशु दोनों स्वस्थ रहे ये हमारा लक्ष्य है। लड़कियों का मृत्यु दर कम हो ये हमारा लक्ष्य है। बच्चा को गर्म रखना, अगर बच्चा 2.5 किलो से कम है तो उसको KMC देना है। अगर 2.5 किलो से ज़्यादा है तो उतना, फिर भी उसको गर्म रखना तो सबसे ज़्यादा विशेष है। दूसरा में है स्तनपान कराना, ये भी देखे कि बच्चा को स्तनपान कैसे कराती है। उसके बाद बच्चा के गर्भनाल में ये भी बताए कि बच्चा के गर्भनाल में कुछ नहीं डालना है। नहीं बात बताए कि बच्चा को छूने से पहले हाथ धोने के बाद छूने। टीकाकरण समय पर बच्चा को कराना चाहिए और उसके बाद खतरे के लक्षण को पहचान कर बच्चे को शिशु विशेषज्ञ रोग से दिखाना चाहिए।
Launched in 8 blocks of Sitamarhi district in the state of Bihar in India, the Adolescent Girl Champions Initiative utilized the gains made as part of Tarunya project in the district and built capacities of the project's adolescent peer educators to meaningfully engage them as champions in the selected blocks. The initiative is not just a lifesaver for newborn girls. It is instilling the lives of the champions themselves with newfound confidence.
जब मैं किशोरी चैंपियन बनी तो पहले तो लोग मुझे ज़्यादा जानते नहीं थे, लेकिन जब मैं बनी और घर घर में जाकर ये बातें बताने लगी जो हमें ट्रेनिंग में बताया गया है, लोग हमें पहचानने लगे और हमारी बातों को भी समझने लगे।
किशोरी चैंपियन बन के हमको अच्छा लग रहा है, क्योंकि नवजात बच्चे को बचाने में हम उनकी माँ की सहायता करते हैं।
These adolescent girl champions are equipped with love for their community, specialized training, COVID-19 protections, and life-saving information for families of newborns. With these tools, they are going into the community, raising awareness on the importance of taking care of our newborn girls and helping families know how to care. Handpicked by their mentors with the involvement of the community, the adolescent girl champions of Sitamarhi are writing a new saga of success. The light that they have kindled with hand-holding from frontline functionaries such as Ashas is a beacon of hope for the healthy survival of newborn girls. Their effort promises to go a long way in shaping a new generation of care-aware mothers, fathers, and families for newborn children.
Really amazing how much difference a small training like that can make to so many women's lives in India. Well, we are moving to our next pledge segment, and I'm happy to say that we do have a steady stream of donations coming in. We're really happy. Thank you so much. $100 from Virginia Sheets, $200 from Kathy O'Connor, $1,000 from Steve Marzo. Thank you so much for your donations, and please keep them coming. Now I'm going to be joined by another Engender Health board member for the next pledge session. A huge warm welcome to Ruby Agarwal. Ruby, hi, and welcome to the event.
Hi, Karen. I am so happy to be here. And especially after watching that last segment, it's just was very touching.
I mean,
very personal. Had a very personal
tell me
connection.
what you thought of that video.
Yeah, it's so fantastic to see that that work is being done. I feel like I've lived in this country for a very long time, and it just reminded me that often women do give birth at home. They don't have any other choice. And to be having other girls be educated and going out and providing that education, it's fantastic.
Now, Ruby, tell us your own personal story, because I know that you were actually born in India, right?
I was born at home. I was born actually in my grandparents' home, which when I tell my children that, they're a little shocked and appalled and amazed as well that that's possible. As I mentioned, it's not a choice a lot of times as it is here. And the education that I was given at the hospital was just not there always, right at home. So the programs that EngenderHealth is helping with is very helpful, very impactful.
And when you think about it, it's amazing that, you know, in one generation, you, for example, can go from being born in your grandparents' home to now being on the board of an organization that helps families who were just like your grandparents.
Yes, I'm thankful for organizations like EngenderHealth, and also proud to be a part of the board and try to provide the financial skills that I have in order to keep the organization, just provide them some financial guidance. Obviously, Tracy and her staff do a lot of the work, but just trying to provide input where we can.
So for our audience who doesn't know, Ruby is one of the financial brains on the board. I'm definitely not one of those, but we're very grateful that she is. So Ruby, tell us also, why this kind of giving at an event like this is so important for Engender Health.
Absolutely. And yes, Karen is drawing a little bit on my financial knowledge here and input. And Karen, I'm very thankful for what you do and your skills. So for the reason that this type of giving is very important, it's one that has a little bit more discretion. It's one where the direct funds that are coming in can be kind of pointed and go to support infrastructure or other areas, kind of wherever the need is.
And in terms of, giving overall, of course, we know in the last, say, year or two, especially with the pandemic, a lot of organizations have found it harder to raise funds. So, what do you think, what impact will this kind of event and whatever money we raise have for Engender Health?
This type of giving is very important, really, to any organization. A lot of times this type of giving can go to support, like I said, the systems that are in place, the infrastructure that's in place, and make sure that there's that base there to keep allowing the organization to do the very strong program work that it does. It's not as the sexy giving maybe as others, as some like to think, but it is extremely important in order to sustain the organization.
Exactly. So what's your final message for our donors and potential donors who are watching tonight?
Thank you, Karen. So, as I watched even the first story about the vocational training in Malawi and the work that's happening in India, it's just that common theme of educating women and women and girls and how important that is and what an impact that has. And it's, we have to make sure that organizations like Engender Health are able to continue to do the amazing work they do.
Well, Ruby, it was great to hear your story, and we thank you for everything you do for Engender Health, and thank you for joining us tonight. It was really wonderful to have a chat
thank
with you.
you. Thank you very much, Karen.
And that was Ruby Agarwal, who is a fellow board member of Engender Health. So your gifts in this event can help us create more of those girl champions across India, or provide greater access to contraceptives and reproductive health in Malawi, in Tanzania, in Burkina Faso, or any of the 13 countries where Engender Health works. The need is really great, and the need is always there. So all the ways you can give are on the screen. There's the donate button. You can text, and our link, in case you're so enthralled by our live stream and you want to wait till after we're over, the link will stay up until the top of the hour for donations. And of course, coming up very soon is my chat with our special guest, actress Rose Byrne. But first, we just want to say thank you to our premier partner, Debevoise and Plimpton LLP, and also share a message from our title partner, Mia Chisholm from Chisholm Consulting. Then please enjoy a classical Indian dance performance of Shiva Sambo by the Indian Raga Dance Company.
Hi, my name is Mia Chisholm, and I'm the president of Chisholm Consulting. For the past 3 years, we have partnered with Engender Health, and we are proud to be a sponsor this special evening. We believe the work that Engender Health does is critically important to the world, and we hope that you will join us in supporting their mission. Thank you. Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya.
team.
Wonderful. I hope you enjoyed that performance of Shiva Sambo by the Indian Raga Dance Company. And I just want to say thank you to a few more donors who pledged during the live pledge. A big thank you to Jody Ellers, also Amy Falk and Denise Stunning. So keep those donations and pledges coming. Every dollar counts, don't forget. Well, now it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for. She is smart, talented, funny, and gorgeous. Earlier, I had the pleasure of talking with our featured guest, Australian actress Rose Byrne, and I'm very excited to share that with you now. Okay, Rose, so let's start off with talking about you. So you recently started a production company called Dollhouse Pictures, telling stories about women by women. Why did you decide to do that?
Well, I was very inspired by other brilliant female actresses and producers that I had seen starting their own companies, like Nicole Kidman or Reese Witherspoon. Bruno Papandreou is a good friend of mine who's a very prolific producer. I mean, there's so many, and any actress who's smart it's much smarter to try to take the reins at a certain point. And we finally actually wrapped on our first feature film, which has been very exciting, and it's very challenging. But yeah, we had a focus of trying to, bring female narrative to light and through a female lens and all those sorts of things, which I think has been very timely. So it's, that's sort of part of the big reason we wanted to start the company.
You mentioned that you were inspired by some other female producers and actresses who've done this. How is it different working with an all-female team in terms of the ideas you come up with and the focus that you have?
Well, we all have a shorthand because we're old friends, but I think I mean, being a woman isn't a monolithic experience, it's so diverse. And that's what we've also tried to capture, is all the different voices within the company and all the voices that we've sort of projects we're trying to develop and books and so on and so forth. So we wanted to try to capture through story the complexity of being a woman and the complexity of the stories of that and the narrative of that, because it's not one monolithic experience being a woman. It's very diverse, and women have not always been represented like that. There's a lot of cliches in films and television in the past, or stereotypes of women, particularly in comedy. Women have often very stereotypical sort of representations, and I think that's changing, but it's not perfect, and it's definitely something we strive to try to, within the company, to try to focus on.
Okay, so do you consider yourself a feminist? I mean, what does it mean to you?
It's so interesting. The word has become so politicized, and that's what I feel conflicted about, because isn't it just meaning like human rights? Like Hillary Clinton said, women's rights are human rights, and human rights are women's rights. I feel like that's such a beautiful quote, because, there's certain places where women can't drive, or they can't walk down the street without a male companion. And for me, I feel like shouldn't we all be feminists? Why is it so terrifying to have women have equal rights? Why? And that was so eye-opening when we did Mrs. America, the Equal Rights Amendment, why it became trying to ratify the ERA in the 70s, which still hasn't been done, which most people don't even know. I didn't realize until we'd done the show, till I was a part of that show. But I feel like the conversation is, why is it so terrifying? What's so scary about women having equal rights?
It is, in so many societies, seem to be based on fear. And I don't know what people think is going to happen if women are.
I know. Like, isn't it? The statistics, I'm sure you would know better than anyone. It's sort of incredible of having more women at the seat, more women at the table making decisions, whether it's in a family or in a huge company, is always beneficial, and it always makes the place the situation flourish. So it's always beneficial and always empowering for the long term. So it is like you say, this sort of generalized fear of like the unknown, and also honestly, thousands of years of repression. It's not going to change overnight, as Gloria Steinem, like to quote someone else. These things they're not going to change overnight. It's a patriarchal society, and to reframe that is it will take a long time.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's move on to talk a little bit about what we do, sexual health and rights. It's still globally, it doesn't matter how progressive a society you live in, it's still hard to talk about these things. Would you say it's hard for you as well?
I feel so privileged having grown up in Australia, really in the 90s, I guess. I'm the youngest of 4 children, and my mother was very open always about reproductive rights, about sexuality, about educating me, and at the appropriate time, never over-sexualizing her daughters. Like, we never grew up too quickly as well, which I think is a challenge for parents these days, particularly with young girls, to try to monitor that, you know. And I feel really privileged that I had a safe home and I had a safe idea of what my reproductive rights were, and what, as a young woman growing up, my own sexuality and how to be careful and how to take care of myself and have self-respect, which I think is a really huge thing to try to teach. So, but it is difficult. Absolutely. It's something that is still taboo, obviously, in so many places, and ignored, and all those sorts of things. So much sort of ignorance and repression that women have all over the world about their own sexuality and reproductive rights. So I feel as me, Rose, I feel I was in a very privileged position growing up and having access to all of those things.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. Have you though ever been in a situation where you felt that your voice was either not maybe silenced or not being able to be heard in regards to sexual and reproductive health and rights?
I feel very privileged when I've had moments where I've needed help, or I've needed to have a conversation or have advice. I've had places to go and people to talk to. And that's when you're growing up, all the things you go through growing up, if you're getting your period or you're deciding to sleep with your boyfriend for the first time or whatever it is, I've always had someone counsel to seek, whether it was my sisters, my mother, a friend who was older. Like, I've always felt I've been incredibly lucky, and I am an outlier. That is not the case for most people to have that. And I've always felt that I've had that. So again, I'm very privileged to have had that sort of access. Because it's scary trying to navigate those waters.
Now, a lot of younger women are now being active, as you just mentioned, in calling out this sort of sexist behavior, which is rampant. And, you know, I'm much older, and I do feel like there's still so much to learn, and sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming. How do you engage with issues that continue to need support, especially when sometimes you feel like, why is this still happening? Why are we still talking about this?
No, I feel the same way. Like, I'm of a certain age, I'm in my 40s, and I'm not prolific on social media. And so much of this conversation is on social media. You aren't sort of at the mercy of another institution. You have your own voice and your own way to speak and your own platform to say how you feel and to expose what happened to you. So in a way, I'm in awe of those women who've come forward and think how brave that is. And I definitely commend that. And I sort of learn from it, if you will, you know. And but then also knowing, like, again, to go back to Mrs. America, but to seeing that time in the 70s where all those women were fighting for, like, just basic sort of equal rights in America, trying to ratify the EIA and so on and so forth. But, you know, it's all history, right? Without that movement, there wouldn't have been this movement. Without this movement, there would have been this movement. So it's like, it's just a collective wave. It's a movement. It doesn't stop moving. It's got to keep, it's, you know, it's a thing. It's a live sort of thing. And I take the lead of these young women who are coming after me now, because I think they're the next generation, and they're the voice that is going to change for my sons growing up, you know, right. To have this example set of this terrible behavior that's being condoned, and it's just unacceptable.
And how do you think we can better use stories and narrative to share the lives and the stories of underrepresented women around the world?
Well, it's such a powerful tool. It is. And storytelling has a way to reach so many corners of the world, you know, that you can see a documentary about some incredible thing that you would never have even heard of, you know, through the power of our media. So I think that is such a powerful tool. It's an incredibly powerful tool, and it can go both ways. I mean, it's a sort of it's a delicate thing too, of trying to use it for a better good. And I think, but that's why I love the industry, and that's why I think it's really powerful. I mean, a film like Nomadland, I didn't know anything about that sort of about that kind of movement that was actually happening. And as people are getting older and quitting their jobs and just going on the road and going to these certain kind of camps and things, and that it's a real thing, was fascinating. Like, wow, that's how people's stories unfold in their life. Like, I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't watched that film. So I think it's at its best, storytelling is sort of life-changing. I watched that incredible show, I May Destroy You by Michaela Cole on HBO about
yes, that was incredible.
It was incredible. Like, that story to me, I think, was just flawless. It was this horrific thing that happens to this woman, and how complicated it is, and just exploring all the nuances of sexuality for women, for men, and the sexual relationships, consent, everything. So I found that a kind of an incredible example of storytelling with a very, I guess, current sort of issue. But it's always been an issue. But it's sort of like starting conversations, you know what I mean? It's just starting conversations about these things we don't talk about. I just did a show called Physical coming out on Apple TV in a few weeks. And it's about a housewife in San Diego in the 80s. And she has this horrific eating disorder. And, it's starting a conversation around that.
We're here on this event. It is a fundraising event. Anything you want to say about Engender Health or to donors and potential donors?
Oh, I mean, the organization Engendered Health is just inspiring. My friend Ryan Hawke introduced me to you guys, and it's organizations like this that, I mean, quite simply save lives for a start, whether it's through sexual health, reproductive health, access to reproductive health. I mean, it's life and death in some of these situations. Like, that's just one of the incredible things that you guys do. But education, focusing on education in places that aren't privileged, like me, having access to all of those things, female reproductive health, all that stuff, to places that don't have that and don't even have a conversation around it. So it's organizations like Engendered Health that are just essential to trying to empower women around the world to be able to have autonomy over their body and their decisions and their health.
Rose, thank you
give
so
money,
much.
give some cash, guys. Ooh, give some cash. How do you do it?
Listen to Rose. Listen to Rose.
Give some cash. You think it's just going to, like, this is just going to change? It takes work.
Rose, thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to us, and it's been so much fun and really, really interesting talking to you. Thank you again for your time.
Listen, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm honored to be here, and it's an incredible organization, and I wish you guys so much luck, and I'll be donating, and thank you for inviting me. It's great to just have a conversation.
Okay, Rose. So let's start off with talking about you. Amazing. So you recently started Byrne. She was a delight to talk to, and as you can see, she's encouraging you to give generously as well. And I just want to say thank you to some donors who've been giving during the course of the event: Monica Kerrigan, Meryl Wolf, Rob Petty, Susan Summer. Thank you so much for your generosity. And we are nearing the end of our time together, but before we go, I'm joined again by CEO Tracy Baird. Tracy, hasn't it been such an amazing time this past hour or so?
Yes, Karen, it's been really fun. Even knowing the programs, it's so great to see them come back again in the videos and hear the energy that the women and the teens and our staff bring to the work, and how great to hear Rose and to hear her talk about the next generation and about building movements, because that is so much a part of what we do, working with young people, working with with women's groups and feminist groups and youth-led organizations to keep building energy towards our collective goals. So it's been wonderful, and I thank you. It's also wonderful that we've had so much great participation this evening. Thanks to all of those who have participated and joined us. Thanks to the contributions, and thanks also for the support, just knowing what we do and helping take the message of our work farther. I really appreciate you, Karen, for hosting, and our board members, Juan Carlos and Ruby, and so many who are behind the scenes and helping us do this. It's been wonderful, and I appreciate everyone's joining in to make this a success.
Yeah, thank you, Tracy. Well, it's been my pleasure, and it really has been a team effort to pull this off. Our audience members can't see all the people behind the scenes who've made this happen. And of course, it's definitely a community effort to continue the amazing work that Engender Health does under your leadership to advance sexual and reproductive health and rights around the world. Tracy, do you have handy a running total of how much we've raised so far?
Yeah, so far this evening, since the event started, your generosity among those of you joining us has brought an additional $4,000 to our tally. And with contributions that were made as people registered for the event and from our sponsors, I think we're at about $25,500, which is wonderful, and really will make a difference. Will make a difference in the work that we do and the impact that we have. So thanks everyone so much.
That's great. And of course, if you want to find out more about how you can support the mission of Engender Health, of course, you can go to our website, which is engenderhealth.org, or you feel free to contact our office by email or phone. That information should be up on your screen. And also, if you'd still like to donate, that donation link will be live until the top of the hour. So you feel free to continue to donate, either using that link or using the text line. And my thank you also to everyone who's given during the event. Well, it is time for us to wrap up. All good things must come to an end. So we'd like to leave you with some images of our staff working around the world, and listen to the music. Okay, the song you're going to hear was written and produced by two Engender Health staff from our Tanzania office, Haji Fuku and Omari Embe. And the lyrics, believe it or not, are all about contraceptive methods. And of course, if you're joining us for the after party with Ethan Hawke, that will start in about the next 5 minutes or so. Please check your email for the Zoom link. But for me, Karen Coe, thank you to everybody who's joined tonight. Thank you to everybody who's given tonight. And we hope to see you again soon.
Pata afya ya uzazi. Geita. Pata afya ya uzazi. Tanga. Pata afya ya uzazi. Dar es Salaam. Pata afya ya uzazi. Dodoma. Pata afya ya uzazi. Moshi. Pata afya ya uzazi. Hata kule Zanzibar. Pata afya ya uzazi. Tanzania yote. Pata afya ya uzazi.
Afya ya uzazi ni bora na hasa ukizingatia, unanisikiza? Ndo kweli mimi nakwambia, mama atakuwa na afya, baba utakuwa na nguvu, watoto watakuwa na furaha kuletwa hapa duniani. Panga uzazi, kuna njia nyingi kama unaogopa sindano.
Na hizi chache na kuchachia vitanzi, sindano, vidonge, vibandikizi, kondo na njia za kudumu. Arusha. Pata afya ya uzazi. Geita. Pata afya ya uzazi. Tanga. Pata afya ya uzazi. Dar es Salaam. Pata afya ya uzazi. Dodoma. Pata afya ya uzazi. Dodoma. Pata afya ya uzazi. Pwani. Pata afya ya uzazi. Pwani. Pata afya ya uzazi. Morogoro. Pata afya ya uzazi. Moshi. Pata afya ya uzazi. Hata kule Zanzibar. Pata afya ya uzazi. Tanzania yote. Pata afya ya uzazi.
Yeah, what we got, aka his name.
Yeah.
Niko na Haji Fuko.
Here we go. Fuko House.
BG Record. Kama kawa. Yeah.